Hi, my name is Jenny Pearson. I'm the author of the book The Boy Who Made Monsters, which is illustrated by Katie Keir. I'm going to read to you today an extract which focuses on Benji and Murdy as they watch Benji's brother Stanley try and go for a swim, even though he's really scared of the water. And I've picked this piece because I think it really shows how empathetic Stanley is towards his brother's pain and how much he wants to help and how much he feels for him. And also Murdy's empathy too, both for Stanley and Benji. And I think it also demonstrates the importance of talking to someone when you're struggling and not keeping things to yourself. Okay. Is that your brother? Murdy asked, shielding her eyes. I nodded. We were quite far away, but I could tell by the way he was standing with his shoulders hunched over that it was him. He was on the jetty wearing his swimmers and carrying a towel under his arm. Looks like he's going for a swim, Murdy said casually. A swim? That couldn't be right, not with the way he felt about water. I leaned forward, trying to get a better look. Slowly, Stanley walked to the end of the pier and put his towel on the ground. Then he looked out across the loch. I thought he might see us, but his mind must have been on other things, bigger things. I felt my heart beat hard in my chest for him. Get in the water, Stanley. Go on, you can do it. He waited at the top of the ladder for quite some time, as though he was trying to pluck up the courage. Then he lowered a foot onto the first rung, and I held my breath. You can do it, Stanley. Then he climbed down to the second rung, and then the third. Almost there, Stan. He reached the rung of the ladder, which was just above the surface of the water, and he stopped. He stayed there, frozen for ages, and I had to quit holding my breath or I would have passed out from lack of oxygen. Go on, Stanley, get in. What's he doing? Murdy asked, but I shushed her. He was trying. That's what he was doing, and it was both incredible and painful to witness. My heart dipped when Stanley began to climb back up the ladder. He picked up his towel and walked back down the jetty. Your brother's weird, Murdy said. He's not weird, I snapped. He's scared of the water. Murdy screwed up her face. Why? Because of the Loch monster? No, because of what he saw. What do you mean, what he saw? I took a breath and the words rushed out. He was there when the boat my parents were on capsized. He was found clinging to the hull 6 hours after it happened. He was out in the water, all alone. As I watched his retreating figure, it struck me how utterly alone he must still feel. It was as though part of him was still clinging onto that boat, clinging on to what had happened, clinging on so hard he wasn't able to let go and reach out. Murdy shook her head. That must have been awful. He's not been able to get in a boat or swim since, although he won't admit it. Understandable, Murdy said. He won't talk about it then? No, not to me anyway. Stanley had never been able to speak to me about that day. Everything I knew, which wasn't much, had come from the counsellors. Murdy nodded, then very gently said, And where were you, Benji, when it happened? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I looked at my lap, not wanting to meet Murdy's gaze. I was at a kids' club, painting pebbles. It sounded so stupid. Guilt swirled in my stomach. It might not be easy to understand, but I wish I'd been there too. I was part of the family. I should have been there with them. You were lucky, she said, which was both right and wrong. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can think about how Benji and Murdy and Stanley are all feeling and empathise with them too.